In the wild and on the battlefield, survival isn't about brute strength, it's about adaptation. The side that adapts wins. The Soviets trusted in numbers, the West in technology. The T-54-55 was their ace, until the M48 Patton arrived. Overconfidence blinds you to your weaknesses. Survival belongs to the observant and adaptable. When the world changes, only the flexible survive. Picture yourself as Dmitri, a young Soviet tank commander in a T-54. You breathe diesel, trust your machine, and believe in Soviet strength. Your tank is rugged, low, and mass-produced, an unstoppable force, or so you're told. You've drilled for the day when your steel avalanche will roll west. The doctrine is simple. Numbers win wars. You see endless rows of T-54s and T-55s, confident that quantity is your edge. But then, rumors spread, the Americans have a new tank, the Patton. At first, you dismiss it as another Western oddity, but stories from distant battlefields tell of Pattons defeating T-54s, even when outnumbered. Israeli crews in Pattons are winning against Arab armies using your tanks. The reports are confusing, but doubt creeps in. What if the enemy has changed the rules? What if your faith in numbers is misplaced? In the cramped turret, you start to wonder, is your steel beast still enough? The battlefield is shifting, and you may not be ready. The game has changed, and you're not sure you know the new rules. The T-54-55 was the Soviet war machine, simple, reliable, and everywhere. NATO feared its numbers. For every Western tank, the Soviets had 3 or 4. The plan was to overwhelm, not outthink. Then came the M48 Patton. On paper, it looked unimpressive. Taller, heavier, with a smaller gun and early mechanical issues. The Soviets saw it as just another target, but real combat told a different story. In proxy wars, Pattons outperformed T-54s even when outnumbered. Israeli and Pakistani crews in Pattons dismantled Soviet tanks with alarming efficiency. The data was clear. The Patton was dominating. The question for the Soviets was no longer if the Patton was better, but why? The myth of Soviet armored invincibility was shattered. The M48 Patton's edge wasn't its gun, it was its technology. Its advanced fire control system let gunners hit targets with precision before the enemy could react. The rangefinder gave Patton crews a first-shot advantage. Gun stabilization meant Pattons could fire accurately on the move. T-54s had to stop to shoot. This made Patton crews unpredictable and deadly. The commander's cupola gave all-around vision, while the interior was more comfortable and spacious. Better visibility and less fatigue meant sharper decisions in battle. The Patton was a true weapon system. Rangefinder, stabilizer, and crew comfort working together. The T-54, for all its ruggedness, was outclassed. In battle, the Patton was a rapier to the T-54's hammer. The lesson, how you fight, matters as much as what you fight with. The Patton changed the rules of armored warfare. The Soviets had to catch up or be left behind. Reports from the Middle East stunned Moscow. Pattons were decimating T-54s. Soviet advisors saw their tanks, once symbols of power, destroyed by smaller Israeli forces. The myth of Soviet superiority was collapsing. The T-54-55, the backbone of Soviet strategy, was suddenly obsolete. The Kremlin realized NATO's quality could trump Soviet quantity. The shock forced a painful reckoning in Soviet design bureaus. Simplicity and mass production had reached their limit. The West's focus on fire control, stabilization, and crew comfort was now essential. The Patton proved a tank is more than a gun on tracks. It's an integrated system. The Soviets faced a new tank gap, this time in technology. The arms race was reignited, and complacency was no longer an option. The Patton had forced the Soviets to rethink everything. The Soviet response was swift. First, the T-62, designed to outgun the Patton. Its smoothbore cannon fired powerful new rounds, aiming to kill Pattons at range. But the T-62 was rushed, inheriting flaws from the T-55, cramped, slow-firing, and with outdated fire control. Still, it signaled a shift. The Soviets were chasing technology, not just numbers. The real leap came with the T-64. It introduced an automatic loader, shrinking the crew and the tank's profile. Advanced composite armor and a new 120-mm gun made it a formidable foe. The T-64 was complex and initially unreliable, but it was a quantum leap. This new design philosophy, compact, powerful, and technologically advanced, defined the T-72 and T-80. The shock of the Patton had forced the Soviets to innovate, not just imitate. The arms race entered a new era, with both sides pushing the limits of tank design. The lesson fear of falling behind can drive revolutionary change. The M48's challenge set the stage for the next generation of armored warfare. The Patton vs. T-54 story is a classic case of technological surprise rewriting the rules. The Soviets didn't just build a better tank, they overhauled their entire approach to warfare. Innovation became a necessity, not a luxury. This pattern repeats through history. The English longbow ended the age of knights. The aircraft carrier made battleships obsolete. Each time, those who failed to adapt were left behind. The M48's edge forced the Soviets to innovate, which in turn pushed the West to respond with tanks like the M1 Abrams. Military development is a cycle of surprise, adaptation, and response. Victory goes to those who adapt fastest, not those with the most weapons. Yesterday's strengths become today's vulnerabilities. The lesson is universal: adapt or be outpaced. The battlefield and the world rewards the flexible. The Soviet Tank Corps learned the oldest law of survival: adapt or perish. Like a hiker outsmarting a bear, the Patton's crews used technology to change the terms of battle. The Soviets saw strength in numbers and firepower, but missed the importance of vision, speed, and coordination. True success comes from a system of skills and tools working together. Situational awareness is everything, on the battlefield or in the wild. Complacency is the real enemy. The world always changes. The M48 forced the Soviets to become resilient and innovative again. The ultimate survival tool is the will to adapt. It takes humility to admit your method is failing and creativity to find a new way. Whether crossing a river or countering a new enemy, adaptation is key. Nations, like individuals, must recognize when their strengths have become weaknesses. The thread connecting soldier and survivor is constant assessment and adaptation. In a world of constant conflict, only the adaptable endure.